Welcome to the Dancing Oracle with Najia. I'm a psychic medium and I do all things spiritual and tuning into high frequency on this channel. And today we have part three with our special guest, Eileen, all the way from the UK, originally from Philadelphia, like me. And she's going to talk about how she manifested her British prince. All right, so I just want to give a little intro before she tells more about the story. And by the way, if you're enjoying this series, give a like, subscribe for free, or thumbs up, or if you want to be generous, you can donate to the channel so I can buy some more romance uh, cards because we had a special theme in February for romance. And thank you, the sponsors who donated to the channel to help me get some new exciting decks. All right, so Eileen and I go way back. If you didn't watch video number one or video number two in this Manifesting Your Prince series, and we go back way before when she was single and unhappy and attracting negatively. And here we are, years later, lying on the beach at one of my mermaid events, having our private mermaid retreat. And we're just like having a good old time. How long did you come to visit me for
Oh,
this area, visit your brother and everyone? Probably a
I
couple
guess
weeks or a month.
you mean altogether a month or
I think
two?
it was a long vacay
Yeah. I mean, I used to, if you recall, I used to come back
and
for
work.
3 months at a time, and
Yeah.
then obviously come back to the UK and then continue that cycle. Going back to Philly for 3 months, coming back to the UK for 3 months. Um, when I was with you, I don't know if that was
I think
a
that was like a
month.
shorter one because you
I think
maybe
that
weren't,
was a shorter
because it
one,
was summer and
Najia.
you weren't getting the Christmas work that you would normally
Yes,
get through Dior.
yes, yes. So that would have been probably a month visit then at that point.
Well, this is what's so cool about her sweetie Mark, um, Mark Tinney, and he's such a sweetheart. Most most partners would be complaining, "Oh, you're just on the beach having fun without me," and da da da. Da. Well, the thing about Mark is, whenever Eileen would go away, he would do some major demonstration of love that would, like, he built you a clubhouse for your Zumba because she wanted a private retreat for her students. He literally built a cottage for her while and he made another time made this beautiful garden. And this one time, if you're an animal lover, you're going to love this story because she's going to talk about Pooper the duck. This one was all about what he wanted to do for her for the love of this little duck that showed up at in their yard, or the egg that showed up and then hatched. Okay, the whole incredible story. It's just one aspect of his demonstrations, but I've never had a guy like this. And I just my dad was like this. This kind of guy my dad was. So he's like a real true soulmate love. We're laying on the beach sipping whatever and having a good old time, and I'm thinking like, God, you're so lucky. Most guys would complain that you're away this long and just having fun without him. And she's like, "Oh no, Mark's not like that at all. He just always does these nice things for me." Well, all of a sudden she starts getting these texts from Mark. He keeps taking pictures of barrels of dirt, wheelbarrows full of dirt. Now, Mark at that point was he's a bit older than his wife, and he was almost 70 at this point. And by the end of the day, he texted the 72nd or 73rd barrel of dirt that he did that day, digging out a pond for his wife as a present for when she comes home, that he was going to make this duck pond for her, this incredibly gorgeous duck pond. And I just was so happy for my dear friend because I remember how sad she was before. And then she met her prince. And now I was getting all this validation like, wow, he's a great guy. And I'm really happy for her because we don't live in the same city anymore. And it was just such a wonderful story because I knew all about Pooper the duck and the whole saga of this duck and why he wanted to make this so special, not just for her, but also he's an animal lover too. So Eileen, come and tell us. Let's hear about Pooper first. Okay?
Okay. Well, I am sitting in my dance studio that my husband built for me.
Oh my God, this is it. I've never seen the inside on video.
This is my dance studio, and we've recently laid a wooden floor, a proper wooden floor, and it's really really wonderful. And this is where I give my teaching Zoom classes in weightlifting and as well as Zumba and yoga and so forth and so on. So yeah, getting back to my pond story, to pick up where Najia left off. Um, Prior to my coming to Philadelphia, one of the things that I had mentioned to my husband was the fact that at that time when we had our duckling, and I will tell you how that whole thing evolved, I wanted to have a place for our duckling to have his family enjoy some type of entertainment. And I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to have a pond in our back garden? So that's what sort of kicked everything off. But to go back and talk about how the duckling came to be, one day my husband and I were sitting in our kitchen, which looks out over the back garden. And we had seen something white, which was underneath the plum tree. And my husband said, "What do you think that is?" And I said, "I don't know." So we went out, we had a look, and it was an egg. And we had no idea what type of egg it was because we have a lot of wildlife in our back garden. Could have been a pigeon. It could have been a egg from a pheasant. We had mallard ducks, which would come oftentimes in our back garden, and they would just, just walk around and forage as they would. So we really had no idea. So my husband said, "I've got a great idea. Why don't we get an incubator and we'll incubate the egg?"
And
So
meanwhile, I'm seeing all the Facebook posts all about this egg. It was so exciting, actually, because they would be so excited together. Like it's like your baby.
exactly.
It's like your
Well,
baby.
well, guess what? When Pooper, as we appropriately named our duckling, when he finally came to be, the first person he saw was Mark. And then I quickly came, and we were Pooper's parents. It was
Were.
absolutely wonderful as far as an experience of raising a duckling. Now, mallard ducks are protected in the UK, and they're very different than the runner ducks that we have now. Um, and the mallard ducks they fly, where the ducks that we have currently, the runner ducks, can't fly. So we had no idea what to expect as duck parents. What did we know? We were just sort of just improvising. And at 2 months, all of a sudden, they fly away. I mean, they're mature, and they go on, and they just go off, and they go to their own devices, but they do come back,
Yeah.
and they come back every year. So when Pooper, when we were raising Pooper and we were having a good time with Pooper, we had a wheelbarrow at one point filled with water. That was his like little mini pond. And then at one point, we purchased a little mini swimming pool. And when he outgrew that, he had all of his toys as well, all of his little ducky toys, no
And I
pun
saw
intended.
all those adorable photos on
Yes, you
Facebook.
did.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But what we didn't know was that they do fly away, and it's normally at 2 months where they're very self-sufficient, and they fly away to greener pastures. So it surprised us, but not really, that the next year, lo and behold, Pooper came back with his wife, and they were looking for a place to nest. So to go back to the beach incident,
Yeah.
um, it was during that time, that summer, that Najia and I were enjoying fun and sun, that my husband was working on making a pond. He dug it out all by himself with his hands, back and forth, 72 barrels.
That's a man. That's a real man. And
I mean, it was so funny because we had both seen the photos of him laying down the foundation, the graduating levels, and it was just absolutely fascinating. And when I came back, there was a pond
oh my gosh.
where there
I
wasn't before.
know. A beautiful pond with plants around it. I mean, it was just
Yeah, I mean, it
gorgeous.
was absolutely amazing. So when Pooper and his wife had 12 ducklings, the gorgeous pond that we had very, very quickly turned into a black mucky pond.
Yeah, so pooper.
But as I said before, usually 2 months is when they get their confidence and they start to fly. And it was amazing because they did it in formations and in lots of 3 and 4, and they tried it out. They flew around, and when they were finally able to get that confidence and fly away, that was it. And then the next lot was left.
Yeah.
And then they would try it out, and it was liftoff, maybe sometimes 3 and 4 times before they got it down properly, and they would fly in groups. It was really very, very fascinating, and I have to say, I I get filled up when I reflect back on those memories because there were some precious times. And
I know, and it's, the lifespan of ducks is less than human, so it's really hard. But when
yeah.
you're talking about these formations and getting airborne and how these cycles happen after a couple months and how these cycles continue every year, it just reminds our viewers of divine design at work and to trust in that. We get so caught up in our heads, we make prisons of our mind, and we forget that there is an orchestration behind everything. And this is partly, if you watch part one and part two, um, part one is about Eileen being a co creator in her attracting love, co creating with the universe. And part two is like, oh my gosh, that divine design and how things orchestrated. Like some things that happened at first were really, her trip was canceled at her work. This quota did, and she ended up going somewhere completely different. This really bad event. She didn't take it as like, oh, I'm a victim and this is horrible and I lost this opportunity. She decided to empower herself because she was in empowerment mode. And she said, well, I'm just going to pamper myself and I'm going to go to Europe instead of getting this free trip to Hawaii from my work because it ain't happening. She didn't get caught up in that negative energy. You understand, viewers? She empowered herself and took care of herself. And because of divine design, through the grapevine of the family, her little brother wants to come on the trip with her, who clues her in that the tour guide has the hots for her. And apparently, the entire tour bus knew that the tour guide had the hots for her. She was clueless. She ends up marrying him and moving across the big pond. As the Brits say, they're like, they call the Atlantic Ocean the pond. I'm crossing the pond. It took me a while to get used to what are you talking about? What's this pond? And so it's all about really trusting in that flow that the universe has a plan for you and it's good. It's for your highest good. And we get in our own way. And we become victims of our own mind and self and our own negative, toxic energy that we've built up. So, again, I just really wanted to present this story to you because it's so important for so many of you in my audience going through getting breadcrumbs. Now, I just want to reiterate some of the things her sweetie has done because I've seen the photos and he does this all by himself. I didn't realize the inside of this cottage, your Zumba cottage he built. I saw the outside photos. I didn't realize there's like a living room in there too, and she has room to dance.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've seen the gardens outside the cottage. So he builds this cottage, and he's not a young guy. And he's just like, I'm going to manifest this for my sweetheart. And he's going to do it himself. And he does it. And he does all the digging, the 72, 73 barrels of dirt. I was thinking, I'm laying on that beach thinking about, I had just been recently divorced or yeah. And I was thinking, God, I couldn't get to the beach all those years. I just couldn't. Anything I did for myself was a hardship. I, I would just hear someone whining about it. It wasn't worth me going because then I got to deal with that. And I was seeing he's not only praising her for getting away, but he's doing all this labor, physical labor, and making something beautiful and creative, a shrine of the duck for his fair lady. And he had already done the cottage. He does all these amazing things. And even like it was so he knows we're really good friends. I just like this is how a guy should treat you. So there's some women giving money to men on this in my viewership. And Mark is not a rich man, but Mark cares about her happiness, right? So when the pandemic hit and he knew that my jobs had changed, I wasn't doing my careers anymore, and I was struggling with finances, and he knew she missed me so much, he offered to pay for a flight there for me. He offered to fly me to the UK. I didn't take them up on it, but I thought, oh my God, what a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. He's like, oh, Eileen, I know you miss Najia and you always get together and you can't. Let me fly her. Because you had a flight restriction where you weren't allowed to fly to the US. There were the laws at the time, but I was allowed to fly to the UK because we didn't have the same lockdown procedures as you had stricter ones. And he offered that. And he offered multiple times. And I just didn't take you up on it. But I took you up in my heart, like in my heart accepted the gift. But I thought, what a sweetheart. I had to do a lot of stuff here to keep the fires going but I just thought, that's the real man. That's the real man. And, he's not a rich guy, but he's like, puts anything for her and her
But
for the same.
I really, just to jump in, Najia, I really think it's mutual respect. And the fact that I think sometimes when we are in relationships and the relationship is a bad one, we try to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's probably at that point not a bad idea to abandon that relationship or realize that that relationship is not a healthy one. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we as individuals just hang around because of maybe being afraid of being on our own, or just the what ifs. And Mark is the kind of person where he always encourages me to be with my friends. You know, if I have plans, I want to see a certain person on one day and perhaps another one on another day. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead, honey, have a great time. Do it. Go away with Najia. If you want someone on one time, you want to spend some time with your friends, I know how important it is for you. Just go ahead and do it." So
Yeah.
I do think that when you do have that in the way of a mate who just
Yeah.
has your interests at heart and understands how important it is to have your own set of friends and to just be um, true to yourself and not to just have the focus on him. I think that, that's the making of a really strong relationship, and you can build from there. And
And
once
again, it's
again, I think a lot of people are in toxic relationships.
they
And
are. That's why we're doing the video for the
yeah,
viewing audience are in very toxic situations. There's they're getting breadcrumbs. It's not mutual respect at all. And I wanted my viewers to see your love story in the before, the during, and how it's been all these years since 2002 you've been together. And it's been a really happy union of mutual respect, partnership, taking two people, both of you, and kindness and demonstrations of love all around, like not just sweet words that don't lead anywhere, but real demonstrations of love. I needed my viewers to see this because so many of you are putting up. I mean, I see you in the comments and I worry about so many of you. I really worry. You don't know what's going because you're not seeing the comments, Eileen, but it's a lot. And I just worry about these women. And I try all of the month of February, I devoted it to love, um, and a lot of self care and different things. So thank you so much for coming on. She has so much more to tell, but who knows? We might have her come back next year for the month of February and talk more about love because she's just a dear. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. I'm sure she'll check my comments as well, um, to see if and I can alert her if anyone had a question I can answer for you, Eileen. And please like, share, subscribe, and happy to donate to get more romance oracles and things like that. It really helps the channel, and sharing the channel and just the like button really helps it get out there so more women can know the truth about what can be possible with just a shift of your energy, going from one frequency to the other. Just change the channel, ladies and men. There's some men out here in my audience. Just change the dial and you will get a different audience in your life. All right. And next time we come on, Mark is going to come on. There's a very big mysticism in the UK, and we're going to talk all about mysticism in the UK and ghost stories. So it's going to be exciting. So we'll see how Mark likes being on, and Eileen, maybe the two of you together, we'll see what we plan, but it's going to be some good things in the future as we explore other aspects of mysticism and spirituality. Do you have anything to say before we sign
I
off?
hope he talks about the Celt that is at the end of our property line.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. We got to hear that story because you were telling me about it. I think a couple weeks or last week or a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. You know what? I would love to start. You know why? March. March is all about St. Patty's month. So the Celt would be perfect for March. I'd love to start with that. But
Talk
there's so
about
many
energy and
stories.
what energy can do. But they're going to have to stay tuned.
They're going to have to stay tuned. You know what? Just keep tuning in because this was really, really fun. I knew it would be fun. And Eileen has so much to share, by the way. She she's I mean, God, when she would come here, I got spoiled to the best meals. I mean, meals, like big spread of meals. So she's an amazing, amazing cook. I mean, and all healthy. She'd cook vegan for me. Oh my God. I would get so spoiled. And then one time I brought my little grandnephew to her house because he was staying with me. And she goes, "Oh, bring him along." Well, he just thought he went to heaven. He just thought this was the best. And then he had a thing for her. And then he kept asking, "When we going back?" He loved your cooking.
I
And
know.
yeah, so we know her hubby he eats some good meals, you know. So thank you so much, and
Thank
I can't wait
you.
to have you back,
Thank you,
It's been a
Najia.
pleasure. Thank you for doing this for me and for the ladies. For all the ladies who need a good example to see this is real, to see something real and that how things can change. All right? Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.